Hello, I'm Amy Fulcher with As the Bunny Hops, and it's so nice to talk to you today. Vicky, I have always described myself as indoorsy, so I'm wondering if there were any of my people in the cast and crew, and did the production end up converting them?
That is such a good question. I am also described as indoorsy. I am not a person who likes to camp necessarily because I like to sleep and I like it quiet and no noise, all that good stuff. Many of us were considered indoorsy people. I'm not sure we're completely converted, but we're definitely open now to the adventure. We had a wonderful hiking guide help us learn how to, build tents, build a bear hang, and do multiple things in the woods should we need it in the future. And there's some tiny piece of me, at least, that would like to put some of those skills into practice one day. Obviously, I'll be bringing somebody who's adept more so than myself with me on that day. But yeah, I think we converted a couple of people, myself, just a tiny bit as well.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Next up is Angela.
Hi, my name is Angela with Queen Bee Latina. Thank you for having me today. This message is for Ellie. Did you actually learn any survival skills while shooting this film? And if so, what were they?
I don't know that I explicitly learned any survival skills. I did learn the importance. I mean, I already knew the importance of hydration, but I do think that was brought home to me. It's just important to hydrate. And that's arguably a survival skill. But in terms of CPR, or I don't know. I don't know a term for a what is it called? No, I clearly didn't. Like making a tourniquet. No, I don't know. Did I, Vicky?
Yeah, the litter. We built a litter. We built a litter, which is like, a gurney
Yes.
out of sticks and jackets and sweaters. But Ellie was actually talking to two other actresses at my request during that period, and her shots were just slightly removed from the litter. So she didn't get to see that. So you can blame me, Ellie, for not learning anything except for stay hydrated. And hydration,
very important.
that was the key.
If I were dumped in the woods, no, I don't think I'd be equipped to survive.
In any case, it was great. Well, congratulations on the film.
Next up is Cammie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kami Allen from themamadiaries.com. So Vicky and Katherine, this is your second collaboration together. You also did The Lost Husband. So can you tell me, how this came to be, how you guys wanted to turn Happiness for Beginners onto film?
I'll say hi. Vicky and I coincidentally have a mutual friend. Vicky tells this story better than I do, but our friend Maria had read my book, The Lost Husband, years ago, and she just went over to Vicky's house and handed Vicky the book and said, "You have to make a movie out of this book." And Vicky was like, yeah, I'm sure that's right. And then she went and read it. I guess you tell it better than I do. You stayed up all night reading it?
No, I stayed up all night. Well, if you guys know Katherine's books, you just stay up all night reading her books because they're so good. You can't put them down. And I read that book in 24 hours. And then everywhere I walked from, just to go to the grocery store at Whole Foods or wherever I was going, I kept seeing the characters. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get in touch with this woman and tell her I have to make this movie. And then right after that, Katherine, you don't know this, but I think maybe become a thing. I read Happiness for Beginners right after I read The Lost Husband. So if it wasn't going to be Lost Husband, it was going to be Happiness for Beginners because those are my two favorite books by Katherine. So I got lucky.
So we actually have kids in the same grade at the same school. So it's there's a little mom thing there, except for that she's got a girl and I've got a boy, and we were kind of on the other side of the mom gender divide. I didn't really know each other, but then we met through the book, which was great.
Next question is for Robin.
Hi, my name is Robin Davis from momthemagnificent.com. And my question is for Ellie. What advice would you have for maybe any others who are currently on their own pursuit of happiness?
Well, I think, and Katherine talked about this earlier, the very, very simple exercise of identifying and writing down 3 things a day that you're grateful for or that make you happy is so powerful, because it's so easy to get distracted by just annoyances of everyday life. And I often fall prey to that and get into a rut. And this is such a simple way of reminding yourself that the world is a big place and that small things can bring joy. And it might sound like, even like a corny exercise, but it's not. It's really helpful. So I think starting with something small like that, something that's doable, is really, really powerful.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is Donna.
Hi, I am Donna Borowski from Dangerous Cupcake Lifestyle. I love the movie. And my question is for Ellie. Are you a hiker, and did this movie sway you in either direction? Like, would you go actually do this adventure, or make you go the other direction?
I wouldn't call myself a hiker. I had been on hiking and backpacking trips in high school. I went on quite a few, actually, but I hadn't for many years. And I love the outdoors. I think it's really powerful. It's really restorative. So this did not push me in the other direction. It did not push me in. I enjoyed my time very thoroughly outside. I didn't sign up for a backpacking trip after completing the film, but I also would not be opposed to it. So it was, I think it was just, I felt lucky that we had a job where we could work outside. I was just like really, and we shot at the most beautiful time of year, early fall in the Northeast. It was really, really nice.
Cool. Thank you.
Megan is up next.
Hi, I'm Megan, and I work for Beautiful Ballad. My question is for Vicky and Katherine. Was there a particular scene from the book that you both were very adamant had to come out as perfect as possible when you were bringing to life on screen?
Oh, that's a good question. I'll just say for me, oh yeah, you go ahead, Katherine.
Well, I was gonna say, so in The Lost Husband, which was a book of mine that Vicky also directed, she created the most epic, gorgeous, Oscar-worthy movie kiss in like the history of time, where Josh Duhamel grabs Leslie Bibb by the overalls and yanks her in and plants one on her. And so I really loved that kiss. It wasn't even that good in the book. I was like, this is a massive improvement. And so when we were collaborating again this time around, I was like, can you please just create another really fantastic kiss? Like, just make it like a rewindable kiss. And I think Vicky totally, both of you guys totally made that happen. So thank you for that, because I get really excited about like beautiful, perfect movie kisses. So I was hoping that one would be great, and it is gorgeous.
Well, we all the credit to that kiss to Luke and to Ellie, because they killed that kiss. But I will say one thing that was so hard about this novel adapting is that in the novel, which I hope everybody has read, there's a great road trip at the head of the novel that I tried so hard to keep in the movie, but I just couldn't figure out how to not have a 3-hour movie and also have the road trip. So if I could go back in time and like have the 3-hour movie, I would have that road trip. And there's a great kiss in the book that happens early that isn't in the movie. But these are things that you have to lose sometimes when you're adapting. But I think Katherine's right. I think we nailed it with the kiss.
Yeah, it's worth the wait for sure, this one.
Ooh, that I'm excited that you're saying that.
Diane, you're up next.
Hi, I'm Diane Sullivan from 3 Decades, 3 Kids. This question is directed toward Vicky and Katherine. I had just wondered, for people that read the book, will there be a lot from book to movie, or did it stay pretty true to the book, or will they like what was done to it in order, like taking it from book to movie?
You know, one of the sort of most amazing things to me about watching the movie is that Helen in the book and in the movie cuts her knee right at the beginning. And I did that when I went on an actual trip that this movie is based on. So for me, it's so trippy to see like going from my actual life in, you know, the 90s to the book in the 2015s to the movie right now. So, I mean, it's amazing how much actually stayed in the story. I think anytime you make a movie out of a book, you're taking something that's 300 pages, you know, the book is over 300 pages, and you're kind of making a shrinky dink out of it, right? Because a movie script is like 90 pages with a lot of white space. And so you do have to cut a lot out just to preserve the essence of it. I think the movie feels very much like the book. And I think that's all you can really ever hope for with an adaptation. I don't know what you think, Vicky, but
yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I'm glad that's how you said it, because I think it maintains the integrity of the book. It just isn't the book, sadly. Like it just can't be the book. So we have to blame Katherine for writing these great characters who all wanted lives in the movie, and they all have lives in the movie. Each of these characters gets a moment, and that's Katherine's fault because she writes great characters. So I hope that everyone who loved the book will love the movie for the same and different reasons.
I will also just say that the book is, I love the book, obviously, but the movie has Ellie Kemper and Luke Grimes in it, and that's pretty tough to beat too. So
exactly.
It's really very fun.
I was about to chime in with that, so I'm glad I didn't. Just kidding.
Well, congratulations. We love the movie and the book.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to Amy.
Whenever I'm watching a movie and I know I get to talk to the people who made it, I can't help but start to think about what the vibe was on set. And for me, it looked like summer camp. That was what I felt. So Ellie, I'm wondering, am I on the right track?
Are you on the right track, did you say?
Yes.
You're on the only track, because that is exactly what it was like. And that's all due to Vicky, our fearless leader, who set the tone immediately. Well, I have been saying this, we've been doing some interviews through the day, and it's like, the minute I met Vicky, I was over a Zoom, I was like, take me with you wherever you're doing, because she is just phenomenal. And you can glean this from talking with her. I hadn't met Katherine yet, but when I did, I felt the same way. It's just this thing of, okay, so Vicky's just a sunny person. So it's like, we started off with rehearsals, I don't know, a couple weeks or so, and we all got to know each other. And then she drew together this cast of really good people who also are fantastic actors. So there was just this sense of camaraderie and community among, and it was, Katherine and Vicky had provided us with such great content that the material was just there. And then, Vicky was there on the ground, like leading our everyday. So it really was, I mean, there was more work than summer camp, but it was also, that was the vibe. That was the general, I would say, feeling in the air, which was like, and we were all, I think what was also really nice is that we all felt very lucky to be there. Like, no one was too cool. Everyone was just like really, really happy and understood how lucky we were to all be there together. So thank you, Vicky, for setting the tone.
Anytime, Ellie, we can do it again. And anytime you want to do it.
Let's do it again.
And back to Angela.
This question is for Vicky. Was there any improvising involved? And if so, what was that like?
Yes, there was. I am a big fan of, before I am anything, I'm a fan of actors, because they do something that I find to be so brave and I can't do myself at all in any capacity. And so when you're working with people who are creative and collaborative person, I find it betters the work when you allow them to put their own mark on things, because I can't write some of the jokes that are going to be as funny as someone will say them or come up with themselves. And so Ellie is a master of improv in a scene. So is everybody. Everybody on that set had some incredible, talent or trick that they knew that they brought to set. And so we were able to do a lot of off the cuff fun stuff at any given time. So there's actually a line that Gus Birney says when we're doing, it's a circle of the three favorite things, or, that where Wendy is talking about, writing this down and every day, coming up with those three favorite things. And Gus says, the line is just gone out of my head because I'm 100 years old now, but there's something Gus says about crying into her pillow. And that's something that I've said to my kids since the beginning of time. I'll say, like, they'll be like, oh, Mom, we can't do this, or we wanted this, or can we have this? And I'll say, hey, don't complain to me. Tell your pillow about it. Okay. Go tell your pillow, or go cry it into your pillow. And I had said that to somebody on set, and Gus heard it. And then all of a sudden, Gus was like, I've got an idea. I'm going to yell out something. And I was like, great. And she yelled that out and everybody died. And so there was a lot of that, like lots of like electricity and energy and like playing off each other happened. It happened a lot. I think it happened every scene. We did something a little bit different, a little bit new, just to make it feel funnier and make it feel like it was a real family of friends growing in the story. So yeah. So the short answer is yes.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
And back to Cami.
Ellie, I really enjoyed your character. I think there's a little bit of Helen with an H in all of us. What attracted you to the role of Helen?
Well, again, sorry, Vicky, am I embarrassing you? So Vicky and I don't even know, Vicky, if we were talking this. I can't remember if we necessarily talked about the script. I was just getting to know you. So Vicky and I were on a Zoom, and I met her on the Zoom. And so immediately I thought, well, I want to work with this woman, this director, this writer on something. And when I read the script after meeting with her, I think it was at the sequence, or as if I invented that, whatever it is, they happen very close together. The script was phenomenal. It was like, because I haven't done a lot of drama. Most of the characters I played are sunny and optimistic, but also I've done mostly comedy. So this is, you tell me how to categorize it. I think that it is a very funny movie, but I also think it's dramatic. So I sort of think in my head of it as a drama. And I was so excited to do that and to take on that challenge because I haven't had a lot of experience with that. So I think what drew me to that character was the people I would be working with, and was also the idea of getting to tap into that side of a person who isn't always sunny, who isn't always optimistic, who's a little bit grumpy. And I was really excited to have a chance to do that.
Thank you.
And back to Robin.
Vicky, this question is for you. What are you hoping audiences will take away from this film?
That's a great question. I hope that audiences see Helen's journey as sort of a choosing yourself kind of message. In the story, we find her at a time where her life is really changing, and she finally has to make the decision to kind of move on from her past. And I think that's a really hard thing to do when you're familiar with everything you've been familiar with for so long. And so I think when you choose yourself, you open yourself up to so much love and joy and opportunity through other people and through new connections. And that's honestly what I hope people take away from the movie, is that, when you choose yourself and you reward yourself, not necessarily in a selfish way, but in a way that, has to do with self-care and loving yourself. I think you're going to be able to love other people better, love your next partner better. I think that's a real gift if we can give it to ourselves. My mom has always said my whole life, please yourself and everyone else will be pleased. And when I was little, I never knew what that, for years, I thought that was, oh, my mom is so selfish. She says this terrible thing. And then I said it to someone and they were like, oh, it's just like putting your mask on before somebody else puts their mask. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. You're saving yourself so you can love someone else. So I hope that's what people take from it, is just, it's okay to choose yourself. It's okay to go on your journey to find love and give love.
back to Donna.
Hi, my question is for Vicky and Katherine. The ending of the movie was awesome. I love to see the evolution of Helen. And I guess my question is, do you either of you see maybe a part 2? Because with Jake's vision issues and their new but not new relationship, everybody's kind of evolved and they're new people, I feel like, from when they started the hike. And it would be just awesome putting it out there for a part 2, and curious if that's something that's been considered.
Can I jump in on this one, Vicky?
Go for this. Yes, Katherine.
So I actually have another book that I wrote that's called What You Wish For. Came out in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. And it is kind of a continuation of this story, except that the main character is not Helen, it's Helen's little brother, Duncan, who's in the movie, played by Alex Koch. He's fantastic. He's hilariously funny. And he's such a dream. So I'm not sure I get a vote, but if I had a vote, it would be to make that book into a movie. It's set in the sleepy little beach town of Galveston, Texas, and it's just very swoony and charming, and it's all about kind of choosing joy on purpose. So I would love to see that happen. I got my fingers crossed for that someday.
Yeah, it's a great book. Everybody should buy it. It's great, and it's a great sequel to this movie, to be honest. It is. It just is.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. I'm going to go look for the book.
Back to Megan.
Question is for Katherine. At what point do you, as the author, since these books are your babies, finally decide that this is the time to make the movie? What is it that finally for you says, okay, yes, I trust that these people will make the movie I want them to make?
When Vicky Wight calls me, I'm like, we're good. Let's do it. Yeah. She's so good at what she does, right? She makes the most beautiful, luscious, sort of heart-rending visuals. And she finds the most amazing people to work with. And I think she does. I mean, it's very clear. I got to be on the set for one day of each of the 2 movies that she's done. And you can just tell there's such a good vibe, amongst everybody, that she's just kind of pulling the best out of everything. So for me, that's a given. And it's true that neither one of the movies that she's made of my books have been like exact carbon copies of the books. The book is its thing, and then the movie is a different thing. And I'm glad to have, I'd love a whole multiverse full of different versions of stories out there. So yeah, Vicky is like a no-brainer. Vicky's always a yes. But yeah, I'm a big fan of movies, so it's a great thrill to see books that started out, like in my head, in the bubble bath, turning into real things on a screen with real people out there. It's amazingly thrilling.
Thank you.
And Diane.
Hello. So this question is just a personal question of mine. And I'd like to know, I feel like half the world is happy and half the world is a little bit grumpy. And I want to know how, writing the book and making the movie, how does that play out in your real life? Does it play out if you see someone grumpy, do you try to help them? I always feel like I want to try to help people to be happier in their lives. And I just wanted to know, after reading the book and seeing the movies, if that's something that you do or see, or I don't know.
Well, for me, putting that 3 good things part into the book, which then made it also into the movie, has been a really kind of amazing thing to put out into the world, because I've heard from so many people that they do this now, like at dinner with their kids. They'll just sit down for dinner and they'll have everybody run through 3 good things that happened to them that day. And I think it's such a wonderful habit to create for yourself, because it's not hard. You're not trying to write some encyclopedia of happiness. All you have to do is find 3 good things, and 3 is kind of a magic number anyway. So so for me, I don't find it all that easy to be happy. I'm kind of naturally a little melancholy, so I'm always working on it. And so to be able to kind of tell a story about people who are able to kind of dig deep and find ways to be more grateful for their lives, and then have that story go out there and prosper and, meet the people who kind of also need to hear that story is pretty inspiring. And I feel very grateful for it. It's amazing to hear how it's kind of taken off on its own. I don't know if y'all have things you want to jump in with.
I would just say that I guess I'm just a very simple person because I'm usually very happy. I mean, obviously there are things that get me down, but I never stay down. And then when I read something like Happiness for Beginners or something makes me laugh, and I'm always seeking a laugh. I'm always seeking something to laugh about all day, every day, all day, which is also very annoying, I think, for everyone in my life, but too bad. I just, when I read Happiness, when I read that novel, I was like, this validates why I'm okay feeling good all the time. Everybody, you know, everybody needs to feel better. And this is making me feel even better than I already feel. So it validates that feeling. So I'm with you, Diane. I'm always trying to make things a little lighter because there's so much darkness. And I just feel like it's the most important thing. You know, the value we have as human beings is to lift each other up, make each other laugh, and make it a little easier for everybody else. That's what I've always believed. And when you create something that makes people smile and laugh and happy, or you see a performance that lifts you up, you have a duty to tell somebody else to go see it because it's, you know, going to lift them up. So I'm all about, you know, brightening things up. That's why I'm always wearing yellow. No, that's not true. I was wearing yellow.
The sunshine.
Just today. Yeah.
Love
Thank
that.
you.
Oh, golly.
I mean, the sweater and the sentiment.
And back to Amy.
Well, as somebody who has worn shoes that I didn't break in on a family vacation and then tried to be like, I'm fine when I can barely walk. I really related to that scene. And then Katherine, when you said that you cut your leg immediately on a trip and when that made its way into the book and the movie, that made me start thinking, they were all those moments were so real. I'm wondering if they had real life inspirations, all those little incidences and calamities along the way.
Is that a question for me?
Yes.
Yeah. So the book is actually based on a real hiking trip that I took in the 90s, and all those little moments. Actually, all the people in the story are fictional, but the guy who falls and breaks his hip, that was real. That was a real thing. We had to carry him out of the wilderness for 3 miles. There was a freak blizzard there. I got many injuries. The blisters were real too. I did not have someone as handsome as Luke Grimes helping me with the blisters.
Sorry.
But yeah, and actually when I went to go write the book, I went back and found my trail notebook where I'd kept all my notes, and I used it as the structure for the story for the hike. And it's funny because when the book came out, there was a review on Goodreads where some woman said, my whole book club agrees. We loved this book, but this woman has never been hiking in her life. And I was like, no, I did go hiking. I really did. So yeah, everything, all that stuff is feels authentic because it's all based on real things that really did happen.